This is a 5-minute introduction to our 8 key components framework. The 8 key components framework has grown out of our experience supporting dozens of cross-border deals between overseas technology owners and partners in China. Such deals can be complex, and we have identified the 8 most important issues that the parties have to negotiate to get the deal done. These components interact with each other, and the importance of each will vary depending on the deal. Here is a brief overview. Firstly, partner. Who is the partner or partners in China you're considering? And what is the level of strategic and commercial fit? Perhaps they understand your technology well and have an existing portfolio of products in which they will incorporate your solution. Or perhaps they're using your technology to enter a new market. Either scenario carries different risks. Have you systematically researched all the potential partners out there? And are they private or state-owned companies, which may affect how the deal is negotiated and financed? Secondly, finance means how will the deal be funded? Most technology transfer deals require capital for further development and localization. Is your partner bringing internal funding, or, as is common in China, seeking government funding, which may impose certain conditions? And what financial benefit are you looking to get out of the deal? For example, are you looking for equity investment, an upfront license fee, or royalty flows, or a combination of those? In any case, you should understand the regulatory hurdles and tax liabilities for any cross-border financial flows. The next component we call validation, which refers to the level of market readiness, sometimes called TRL, of your solution. It also covers issues such as certifications or regulatory approvals that may be required. The key question here is how much risk is involved to bring the technology into market. A related problem we commonly encounter is how can your potential partner validate the performance of your technology without you exposing too much of your core IP? The level of investment and risk your partner can accept will certainly play into the next component, which is valuation. Valuation is one of the most critical components, and it can be a deal breaker if there is a large gap in expectations between the parties as to what your technology is worth. Valuation of new technologies is always hard, and uncertainty around the resources and time to market required will test the risk appetite and ultimately the suitability of your partner. There are often invisible strategic considerations, first mover advantage, or fear of missing out to competitors that drives up the value. On the other hand, foreign technology owners often overestimate the level of market capture your technology can achieve, as few companies in China have a truly national market presence. Another core component of the deal, of course, is the IP, including the background IP that you and your partner bring into the deal, and how the parties will share any new foreground IP that's created during the collaboration. The ability of a foreign company to enforce IP rights in China is generally good, but where your IP is in the form of know-how and data, for example, protection is always more difficult in the context of a collaboration. The way you structure the deal, you should try to ration access to your IP based on milestones and payments if possible, rather than disclosing too much upfront. The next component, scope, relates to how much value your partner will be able to capture, particularly in the context of licensing. Negotiations often get stuck on issues such as exclusivity or the markets that you allow your partner to exploit. Scope will have an impact on the valuation that your partner can accept for the deal. Structure refers to how the parties' resources will be combined and managed. For example, whether you set up your own operation, form a JV, or transact through a license. Chinese partners often prefer a JV as the best way to integrate your technology into their business and as the best way to balance the short and long-term risks and rewards, while you may prefer a more simple licensing deal. Whatever the structure, the issue often boils down to the resources, especially skilled personnel, you can commit to supporting your partner to deploy the technology. All of these issues about scope, structure, and access to IP, and the long and short-term risk and rewards that each party takes, will again play back into the valuation component. The final component here is relationship, and this is not the same as finding the right partner. What we mean is the personal rapport between the people who are core to the deal happening. We have seen how the relationship factor is important enough to be a success component in its own right, and that a lack of trust is a key reason for failure of joint ventures or other collaborations. So you should think about putting in place formal and informal trust-building processes that will steer your relationship through the inevitable frictions and disagreements that arise. We hope you find this a useful framework as you approach negotiations with partners here in China.